entirely up to you. If you need to stop and have a little stretch or rest, stop and stretch. If you can keep it going for as long as you can. Usual props, a ball, a cushion, or a rolled up towel if I don't have the ball, and then the band. And then if I don't have a stretchy band, I can always use a belt or a strap, anything that will work instead. So if I'm seated, just trying as usual to create a little bit more space at the front of the body, sitting up a little bit straighter, a little bit taller to allow the diaphragm, the big breathing muscle inside the rib cage, to find the space to be able to move up and down to create that nice breath. So making sure that I'm not pushing the breath up into the top of the chest and into the shoulders. I'm trying to get into a nice relaxed belly breath. If I'm laying down, just allowing the body to be carried by the mat, relaxing completely through the arms or the legs, feeling the belly raising with the inhalation and then falling with the exhalation. So see if I can try and use the breath to help me calm the body, help me calm the nervous system. And then as I feel that the breath is a little bit softer, feels a little bit more relaxed, as usual, think of running that quick scan over the body. So notice the pressure. If I'm seated, notice the pressure under the hips. Is it the same? Am I slightly leaning to one side? Notice the position of the shoulders, of the head. Am I centered? Am I slightly twisted? Am I slightly leaning? If you're laying down, compare the pressure behind the hips, behind the shoulders, the position of the head, the arms. I'm not changing anything, just noticing where everything is and how I feel to begin with. Is there any discomfort, any pain, any tension anywhere? As I feel a little bit more settled, I feel the breath feels a little bit calmer, then I'm going to start working from the neck. I'm going to start turning the head nice and easy from side to side. I'm just testing the movement, starting small, and then gradually going a little bit bigger if the neck allows me to. If you're lying down, then the rib cage can't really move. It has to be the head that rotates. If you're seated, the rib cage can move, as I don't have anything behind me to stop me. So see if you can, with the corner of the eye, check that the shoulder is not following you around. So I want to keep the shoulders steady and just move the head on top of the shoulder. And then as usual, I feel that as I turn to the right, feels stiffer. As I turn to the left, it feels easier, or vice versa. The movement feels a bit gritty. It doesn't feel very smooth. I'm not forcing, just noticing the difference between right and left side. 3, 2, 1. And then returning back to the center. Then I wanted to try and get a reference point in front of you. So it could be like a picture, window, anything I can focus on. Or if you're lying down, it could be like a mark on the ceiling or the light, or just something I can keep my gaze fixed into. And then without distracting your gaze, so keep focusing on that point, I'm just going to start turning the head again, just as far as I feel comfortable. So I'm not forcing, but making sure that my gaze stays fixed to the front. So I'm not flicking my eyes to the side. I'm not following the head. The head is moving. My eyes are staying. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then releasing back. Releasing through the middle, I'm going to retest that rotation. So this time, turning the head, following with the eye. I'm going to turn to the right, turn to the left. Hopefully, after a little bit of stimulation of the visual field, the movement with the neck should be feeling a little bit easier, a little bit lighter, and a little bit more even right and left side. So I'm happy with the movement. I'm going to return the head back to the middle And then I'm going to start focusing on the shoulder joint. One arm at a time, I'm going to start to bring the right arm up to the front. I'm going to lift it, reach it up, reach it back if I'm lying down as far as the shoulder will allow me. And then I'm just going to return the arm back down. Then I'm going to try the same thing with the other side. And then releasing back. As I'm lifting one arm at a time, then I can make the movement a slightly different right and left side. So especially if you're seated, you're lifting against the gravity. So the arm feels heavier than if you were lying down on your back. So see if you can try and just be aware of the shoulder. I want the shoulders to stay down. So I don't want to pull all my shoulder girdle up with the arm. I just want the arm to move into the shoulder socket. So keeping it softer, keeping it light. Imagine your hand to be holding a little balloon that is floating up, taking the arm. So little movement or big movement, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to force it. Especially if you're seated and there is tension into the shoulders. I'm a bit to be rounded shoulder. I'm a bit forward into my position. As I lift the arm up, the higher I lift it, the more tension I'll put on the neck. So see if you can try and think of, same as the beginning, see if I can try and sit a little bit taller and then just give myself a little bit more space. So avoiding that tension into the neck, avoiding the head from poking forward and then creating pressure on the neck. 3, 2, 1, and releasing down, relaxing through the shoulders, relaxing into the arms, and then changing the direction of the movement. From a front raise, I'm going to get into a lateral raise. So I'm going to scoop the arm around the side and towards the head, and then taking it back, and then a big wave with the other arm the other way, and then coming back. Same as you did for that front raise. The movement could be big, it could be a little bit shallower, it could be a little bit smaller. Just try to find the movement that works for your right and for your left shoulder. So it's not creating, again, it's not creating tension, it's not creating pain. So it doesn't matter if I need to bring the arm slightly forward to the body line, just making sure that the shoulder feels relaxed. So I'm not suddenly stiffening, I'm not suddenly tensing to move the arm. Same if I'm lying down on the floor. If I feel that the shoulder is a bit too tight, I might lift the arm slightly as I move towards the head, trying to find a position that doesn't create pain, doesn't create discomfort in the shoulder. 2. Last time. And then easing back, relaxing through the shoulders. And then I'm going to focus on the thoracic spine, on the upper back. If you're lying down, you're going to roll onto your side, setting yourself up into opening and closing doors. The knees are bent. I'm going to pull the legs up so that the knees are directly in front of the hips. Remember, bottom arm, I'm going to reach it straight forward so that I can rest on the back of the shoulder, and then the head can be on the mat if I feel that I'm kind of like low enough. If I don't feel that I'm that low, so it's really pulling on the neck, I'm going to use a cushion or a pillow under the head to support the head in this position. If I'm seated, I'm going to pick a side. So I'm just going to move my right arm. I'm going to take a deep breath in. As I breathe out, I'm going to turn the right palm to face up towards the head, towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to start turning to the right, opening the arm out nice and wide, coming back to the center. And then I'm going to repeat it again. So think of that side opening, same as usual. Think of the torso rotating. The arm is just following that movement. I want to create a nice stretch across the front of the chest, but I don't want to force this. I don't want to twist. I don't want to suddenly shrug and stiffen up. I want a nice, easy opening. And then I'm just going to return back. Then repeating again on the same side and then coming back. So see if I can gradually ease on the rotation, see if I can create a smoother, better movement, playing with the position of the arm. What happens if I bring the arm up a little bit higher? What happens if I turn my hand a slightly different way? See if I can find the perfect combination between the arm and the shoulder socket, opening and closing the door. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Releasing the shoulders, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, and then I'm going to try the same thing to the other side. So if you're lying down, you're going to roll over onto the other side, setting the same position on the other side. If you're seated, just switching for the left arm, rotating to the left. So if I'm lying down, again, I'm going to tuck the knees in front of the hips. Bottom arm, I'm going to reach it through. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to start turning, opening with the arm, and then closing back to the front. So same as I did on the other side, to see if I can play with the position of the arm, trying to get a nice stretch across the front of the chest into the front of the shoulder. So making sure that I'm not forcing the movement, feeling the spine rotating when I'm opening, and then rotating back. If I'm down on the mat, remember, try to keep the knees together, try to keep them down on the floor as you go to open to the back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, giving the shoulder a little bit of a roll, relaxing the shoulder, releasing the back, and then I'm going to move on to the lower back. So if I'm lying down, I'm going to roll onto my back again. And then focusing on the lumbar spine, focusing on the lower back. What I want is to create a gentle massage behind the lower back. So I'm going to tilt the pelvis back as if I was trying to press the lower back flat against the mat. And then I'm just going to go back into neutral. So I'm going to tilt and release the tilt, tilt and release the tilt. It's a nice easy massage through the back of the pelvis and the hips. I'm not trying to push hard with the legs. I'm not squeezing with my bum. I'm just trying to keep it as soft, as loose, as relaxed as possible. If you're seated, think of where the movement is coming from. See if I can try and think of the lower back only changing shape. So I'm going to tilt the pelvis back. I'm going to rock back onto my tailbone. And then I'm going to come forward, picking myself up, trying to come up onto the seat bones. So I'm going to tilt back and then forward, tilting and releasing that tilt, tilting and releasing that tilt. So it's a nice easy rocking, feeling the lower back lengthening as I go into flexion, as I tilt the pelvis back, feeling the lower back shortening and lifting as I come up into extension as I return back from the tilt. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Releasing through the hips, adjusting the position, and then this time I'm going to focus on the hip joint. I'm going to, if I'm seated, I'm going to grab hold of the band or the strap. I'm going to wrap it around the right thigh. And then I'm going to hold it with the left hand. So just anchoring it there. If instead of having a band, you've got a solid strap, so something rigid that doesn't have a give, think of keeping it slightly looser so that you can move the leg inside that loop. So I can actually open to push to the side. If it's elastic, I can tighten it as I know that the band is going to be able to stretch. And then I'm going to focus on the right leg. If you're lying down, I want you to roll over onto your left side so that the right leg is on top. So you're back into side line, setting up into clamp. You don't need the band, as the weight of the leg will be enough, as I'll be lifting against the gravity. I'm going to get myself into clamp position, the feet in line with the hips, so the knees are together. And then I'm just going to start opening out with the right leg. Easing back and then opening again. So if I'm seated, I'm pushing out against the resistance of the band. So I should be able to feel a nice activation into the side of the hip, down the side of the leg. If I'm laying down, I'm just using the weight of the leg to challenge the hip. Just make sure that if you're lying down on your side, you're not rolling the hips backwards. If I roll the hips backwards, I'm not actually moving my hip joint. I'm just pulling my leg. So see if I can try and hold the hips steady and then just try to lift and turn the leg into the hip socket. However small the movement is, it doesn't matter. And then same as usual, if I feel that that leg doesn't want to go that way, doesn't know how to go that way, I'm just going to guide it with a hand. So I'm just going to tell the leg where to go, and then I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to guide it there, and then I'm going to bring it back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Giving the leg a little tap, relaxing the side of the hip, relaxing the side of the leg. And then I'm going to try the same thing to the other side. So again, if you're lying down, you're going to roll over onto the other side, setting yourself so that the other leg is on top. If you're sitting, you're going to wrap the band around your left leg. Anchoring with the right hand. And then when you're ready, we're going to start opening that left leg out. So I'm going to push it out to the side and then ease it back to center. So opening and closing back. Noticing the difference. I know that one side is always better than the other. So this side feels easier to move, or it feels harder to move. It might need a little bit of a guidance. So I'm just going to use the hand to teach the leg where I wanted to move, where I wanted to go. And then same as on the other side. If you're lying down on your side, remember, think of your hips still. So I don't want my hips to roll backwards. I just want the leg to move into the hip socket. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, relaxing through the hips, releasing through the legs. A little bit more connection into the side of the leg. This time I want to try and work through the inner thigh. So I'm going to step the feet just a little bit further apart. So see if you can give yourself a little space between the knees if you're sitting down. If you're on the mat, you're going to roll over onto your back. I'm going to place the band around the right leg again. And then this time I'm going to create a little tension with the right arm. So I'm going to hold the leg, hold the band to the right. And then with the right inner thigh, I'm going to squeeze my way in. Then release back, and then squeeze my way in. Release back. If I find that my shoulder can't hold the tension, is too painful, is too much, you can use the ball or the pillow between the knees. So I'm just going to squeeze that right leg in and then return it back. Squeeze it in and return it back. If you're lying down, if you're on your back, if you're on the mat, think of the right leg opening to the side and then squeezing back to the top. So see if I can be aware of the connection through the inner thigh this time. That is allowing me to move the leg. And then same as I did for the side of the leg, side of the hip, if I feel that I need a little guidance, the leg doesn't want to go there, I'm going to use my hand to guide it, give it a little help to open, and then give a little help to close, or whichever direction I feel that I need support. 3, 2, last one. And then easing back, relaxing through the hip, through the leg. And then I'm going to try the same thing with the left side. So if I'm lying down, I'm going to start opening that left knee out to the left and then close it back to center. If I'm seated, I've got the option of using the band around that left leg and then holding, anchoring with the arm. Or if I find that that's too much for the shoulder, it creates too much tension on the neck, I'm just going to hold the ball, the pillow between the knees, and then with that left leg, I'm going to squeeze my way into the ball. So either way, just trying to get that inner thigh going. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back, relaxing through the leg, releasing into the hip. I'm going to give the legs a little shake and then changing the direction of the movement. I'm going to see if I can start moving up and down. So again, if I know that the leg is a bit temperamental, I might need the support of the band. So I'm going to put the strap around the right leg so that I can use the arms to help me move, so that I can actually move the leg. If I don't need that support, then focusing on that right hip, think of the right hip closing, the thigh bone pulling up towards the chest. Then I'm going to ease the leg back, and then I'm going to try and pull it up towards the chest again, and then easing back. So the foot might lift off the ground. I might not quite be able to lift it off. It doesn't matter. Just to see if you can be aware of the front of the hip tensing, so I can feel the muscle, I can feel the tendon of the muscle, like those stringy, like they feel like guitar strings are there, suddenly sticking out a little bit. So I can feel them rolling under my finger. So see if I can try and get them to turn on, see if I can get them to work to help me carry the weight of the leg, pick up the weight of the leg. 4, 3, 2, 1, and released. Relaxing the leg. I'm going to try the same thing with the left side. So switching the support, under the left leg if I feel that I need a little assistance on that side. And then same as I did on the right, what I want is to bring the thigh towards the chest. So see if I can close the hip joint. See if I can feel the front of the hip tensing to create that little lift. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing down, relaxing the hip, releasing through the legs, and then focusing on the opposite. Think of all that posterior chain working. If I'm seated, I'm going to walk the feet just a little bit closer to the chair. If I'm lying down, the knees and the feet are comfortable distance. And then I'm just going to start pushing both feet into the floor as if I was trying to get them through the floor. So I'm going to push hard into the floor and then relax. Push hard into the floor and relax. Push hard into the floor and relax. See if you can picture a tension as I push into the floor. I'm trying to connect it through all that posterior chain, all the way up into the hips, into the glutes. So as I put pressure, I should be able to feel the tension coming right up into the back of the hips, into the back of the bum. I should be feeling myself almost kind of like a bouncing slightly up and down if I'm sitting on the chair. If I find that I can't feel it, then see if you can try and encourage it. So I'm going to try and push down through the feet, and then I'm going to squeeze my bum cheeks together and then release. Push down through the feet, squeeze my bum cheeks together and release. So whether I'm seated or lying down, see if I can try and find that connection, the little activation. So I'm not lifting off the chair. I'm not trying to sit up. I'm just trying to connect through the back, into the back of the leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Giving the legs a little shake, relaxing through the hips, releasing through the back of the thighs. And then I'm going to go back into that little pelvic tilt as we did earlier. Just a tilt in the pelvis back, coming forward, making sure that I'm not stiffening through the back. I've not created tension into the lower back and into the back of the hips. The back still feels loose, it still feels nice and relaxed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. I'm going to reset my neutral, and then I'm going to go back up into the shoulders, changing the direction of the movement. So I've gone for a front raise, I've gone for a lateral raise. This time I'm going to see if I can abduct horizontally, abduct and adduct the arms. I'm going to reach the arms straight in front of me, so they're pointing directly in front of me. I'm going to take a deep breath in. As I breathe out, I'm going to open both arms out to the side, spreading them out nice and wide. And then I'm going to squeeze them all the way back together at the front. So if I'm on the mat, obviously I'm limited with the amount of opening. I can only get to the floor and then squeeze my way back. If you're seated, obviously you can go further. Just make sure that as you're trying to push the arms further back, you're not suddenly pushing yourself down. So the arms are not rotating to the floor and then pushing me forward. Think of the palms turned to face either forward or up to the ceiling. See if I can try and maintain a nice lift into the front of the chest. So I don't want to hunch myself down. I want to try and stay nice and tall, keeping the head on top of the shoulders as much as I can. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing down, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, and then I'm going to go back into the upper back, as trying to work through the thoracic spine. This time, instead of working in rotation as we did earlier, I'm going to go into a little lateral flexion. So allowing the arms to come down the side, and then think of your upper back moving. So the hips are staying seated. I'm not lifting my hips. I'm not walking my hips on the chair. I'm just going to flex it to the side. If I can feel the spine moving in that direction, I'm going to ease myself back to the center. And then I'm just going to flex down the other way. Ease back to the center and then over to the other side. See if you can be aware of the shoulders, making sure that the arms are hanging down the side, so the shoulders are not suddenly shrugging up to the head. So again, I'm not creating tension into the neck. And then always picture a wall behind you. I want my head, my hip, my shoulders and my hips to stay against that imaginary wall as I'm moving from side to side. So I'm not suddenly twisting backwards. I'm not suddenly twisting forward. If you're lying down, as usual, you might want to support your head with one hand so that the neck doesn't get strained as you switch from side to side. The hips are nice and still, feeling a little tension into the side of the belly. That is helping me to pull the body down and then straighten back out again. Pull down the other way and then straighten back up. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release and back. Allowing the head to go back onto the mat if I've got it lifted. Allowing the shoulders to drop down, the arms to relax down the side. And then I'm going to focus again on the neck, around the neck. This time I'm trying to create a little stretch down the side of it. So with my right arm, I'm going to reach down the right side of the body until I can feel that the right shoulder is really pulling down. So I'm creating a little traction down using the arm. Once the shoulder is dropped, then with the head, I'm going to move to the left. So I'm going to move in the opposite direction until I can start feeling a little stretch coming down the side of the neck. If I'm seated exactly the same, I'm going to reach my right arm down the side, dropping the shoulder. And then with the head, I'm just going to ease down the other way until I can feel a gentle stretch going down the side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing the tension, returning the head back to the middle, relaxing the shoulders, trying the same thing the other way. So I'm going to reach down, reach long with that left arm, and then I'm going to move the head to the right, feeling the stretch coming down the left side. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing the tension, returning the head back to the middle, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. And then I'm going to try and see if I can start coordinating a little. First thing, I'm just going to try with the arms. So the 2 movements that we did at the beginning, the front raise, so lifting the arm straight at the front, and the lateral raise, the one lifting it to the side. I'm going to put them together. With the right arm, I'm going to go for front raises. I'm going to go to the front. With the left arm, I'm going to open out to the side. Then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to switch them. The left to the front, to the right to the side. Come back, and then switch them the other way. right to the front, left to the side. Switch them again. Left to the front, right to the side. So always to think, I want to be able to clearly see one arm that comes up in front of me, while the other arm I can just about to see with the corner of my eye moving on the side, somewhere around the periphery. So they're both coming up and moving down together. We're trying to keep the two separate directions going. It could be a little lift again. It could be a big lift. It's whatever I feel comfortable with. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release it back, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. And then I'm going to try and see if I can coordinate the arm this time and the leg together. Imagine puppet. What I'm going to do is to try and move my right arm and my right leg together, my left arm and my left leg together. So I'm going to think of strings that attach the hand to the leg. I'm going to pull up on the right string. I want my right leg to lift, then ease back, pull up on the left. I want the left leg to lift, then ease back, pull on the right, and then come back, pull on the left, and then come back. And same as before, I might be able to lift it completely. I might not be able to lift it very much at all. See if you can try and focus on that tension at the front of the hip. So see if I can try and find that connection, see if I can get it to work as much as possible. 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back, relaxing through the legs and releasing through the hips. And then I'm going to try again, but this time I'm going to cross the strings. So with the right hand, I'm going to pull the left leg. With the left hand, I'm going to pull the right. As usual, one combination normally works better than the other. So I'm going to try and see how this one feels. So I'm going to pick up the right hand and the left leg together, ease back, pick up the left hand and the right leg together, and then ease down again. So opposite sides, coming back, opposite sides, coming back. Imagine like it was almost like a mini march this time. So I'm going to try and get my little march in action going from side to side. Again, little lift, big lift. It doesn't matter. Just controlling the arm, relaxing through the neck, controlling the leg, trying to move from the hip. 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. And releasing back, relaxing the legs, releasing the hips. And then last time, I'm going to retie the string from my right hand to the right leg, from my left hand to that left leg. And this time, instead of going up and down, I'm going to go out and in. So I'm just going to pull the string out to the right with the arm. I want my leg to open to the side. Then I'm going to close the arm and the leg back to the middle. Then I'm going to pull with my left, opening that left arm, the left leg to the side, and then I'm going to close back to the middle. So opening out on the right, and then closing back, opening out with the left, and then returning back. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, relaxing through the legs, releasing through the shoulders. If you're lying down, I want you to roll over onto the side and then slowly push yourself up into sitting. Finding a comfortable position for the legs that is going to allow you to sit up as straight as possible. I'm leaning against the something if I feel that I need that support to behind or I'm going to fall back again. So I could lean my arms behind, I can lean against the sofa or the wall behind. Once that I feel that I've got that position, then I'm going to see if I can start opening up, sending the rib cage to the front, sending the chest forward. I'm going to draw the shoulders back. I'm going to drop them down. I'm going to send the breastbone up to the ceiling, and then I'm going to look up. I'm going to look back as far as I can, and then releasing back to the front, letting the chin drop down to the chest, letting the shoulders come forward, and then I'm going to roll my way down and towards the legs, towards the floor. And curling back in reverse, shoulders back, shoulders down, sending the breastbone forward, extending through the upper back, looking forward, looking up, looking back, and then releasing, coming forward again, rolling my way down as far down as it works for the back, uncurling my way back, and then extending up, trying to create as much space as possible at the front of the body. Easing your way back to the front, one hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your bow